Only a few scant weeks ago, I was walking my dog in the forest near my home. It's a whimsical, wonderful place, full of flower and festival. I go there most days, and on this day my mind was in a dark place. The world seemed full of horrible things. Worries whisked their way through my meandering mind, when I suddenly saw something. There on an old tree stump, near a small waterfall, was a woven basket, big enough to be of use, but small enough to be carried by one of the small folk. It had been left there, filled with flowers. All of a sudden, those worries washed away as I was lost on a tide of tales. Magic meandered its way into my mind, and my mood started to lift. For here, in a place not far from my home, was something wonderful, something that had shown itself to me. I took its photograph. I'll put it on the tweet that accompanies this. And I walked away, my mind totally changed by what I had seen. Welcome, my friends, to Time Between Times storytelling. My name is Owen Staton, and I am a storyteller, and this is the last day of this festival of Fable, this week of stories every day that I hope you've enjoyed. I've been so glad to be able to do this week, to raise money for Flint House, the police rehabilitation centre in Goring-on-Thames, and I think I will make this an annual thing, where this week, this last but one week in May, we will have a story every day. The money I have raised is beyond wonder, to be honest. I didn't think anyone would give anything, but so many of you have. And there, the Just Giving link is still here and still open. If anyone wants to give something extra, you know who you are, and I am grateful to every one of you for supporting me on what has been quite a difficult week. But anyway, let's finish off. I turn on the news, I turn on the radio, I look on the internet, and all I see is hate and horror. But I know I can lose myself. I can lose myself in the wonders that we still find on our doorstep, and that's something we are going to talk about today. But we'll do that in a moment, because to get to that place of wonder, we need to leave behind whatever we are doing. So sit back, relax, close your eyes if it's safe to do so. Take a few deep breaths, and come with me. There's a slight chill in the air today, almost as if summer has forgotten us, just for a little while. The sky is grey. It's like the sun has hidden away, and is taking a day to just relax and maybe read. But let's imagine we are sat by our fireplace in our living room. We get up and we look outside. We know it's that time, that favourite time of day. We put on a small light jacket and walk out into the fresh air and feel it on our face. There has recently been a storm and the sulphur still fills the air, giving it a sort of magic. We take that right turn and head towards the forest. There are the trees in front of us, like silent sentinels or soldiers who have stood there for thousands of years. We look inside. For a moment, we feel like turning back, cooking ourselves something warm, drinking a warm drink, and maybe just watching the television for the rest of the night. But no, we take another breath and step into the woods. Immediately we are covered by shadow. Immediately the forest seems to cocoon around us. Immediately all the sounds of cars, of talking, of faraway television sets vanishes as we are surrounded by nature. We don't know what the animals are, but all of them seem to be speaking to us as we set foot on that pathway. Feel the crunching under your feet as we come to the old mossy tower. We look at it. When did the trees grow around it? When was it forgotten? When did people who had hopes and dreams leave that place and walk away? We jump over the babbling brook. The forest is filled with flower today. And then we see it in front of us. The fire pit at the heart of the forest. Its warmth greets us as soon as we set foot in that clearing. And we look up and see that the sun and the moon share the same sky. Because now is the time between times, the time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey, the time when the veil between our world and the fairy world grows wafer, wafer thin, so thin that for a few moments, and just a few moments, we can reach into the realm of fairy, and for a few moments they can reach into ours, grabbing our hand, looking us in the eye and welcoming us to their realm. You see, now is the time of story. Now is the time of ghosts. Now is the time of lights in the sky. Now is the time of the Tylwyth Teg. And all this week through this festival of fable we have visited ghosts, creatures that live in the woodland. We have seen so many things that have happened in the past that we sometimes forget that magic lies on our doorstep. The storyteller stands and begins his tale, which happens far to the north, in Connaught, near the north of Wales, not far from the Alwyn Reservoir, which the folklorist Elias Owen many years ago spoke of as being a hotbed of the Tylwyth Teg. There were many clans that would dance under the moonlight. Many of them would make you go to sleep and not wake for 100 years. Some would take a baby and replace it with a changeling. And there in a forest near Connaught, seldom trod, walked a young woman called Judy. Her dog was tired. They had walked a path they have trodden many times, and one where she seldom saw anyone else. The woods were dense and thick, the path overgrown, but a beautiful place. Whenever she set foot on that path, she felt like she was walking into another world. The walk was almost at an end. Judy would soon return to her car and drive home. It was always the saddest time. The road was not far away, but it felt like that she was in another part of another realm. Suddenly a dog stopped, sniffed the sky. And then she heard it. It seemed like a slight sound of music carried on the breeze, like someone's playing a pipe, just lost in the forest nearby. As she stopped and listened, her heart seemed to skip a few beats, and suddenly her hound bolted away into the bushes. She tried to hold on, but it slipped its leash and off it went. She could hear a dog crashing through the undergrowth and started to follow tentatively behind. She went through a few bushes into a small clearing and came to a place she had never been before and saw something that she did really not expect. For there in the middle of the clearing was what she could only describe as a house built from sticks and flowers and twigs. It resembled a small igloo, but had a picket fence around it. Flowers had been placed all the way up and down the walls, and a small doorway led inside. Her dog had stopped and was sniffing around it, and as she approached, she thought that there were the remains of smoke coming out of the chimney at the top. This small wigwam was only big enough for a figure no more than 6 inches tall, and that would have to bend to set foot into the doorway. She peered inside. The music she had heard on the breeze had now stopped, and she looked at it, looked all around this little wonder. It was in a clearing where it was obvious that no one had trodden for years. And yet here it was, a fairy house, not half a mile from one of the main roads. She had never felt such magic, never felt such wonder. She took out her phone and took photographs of the fairy house, trying to catch it at its best angles. She peered in again and saw that no one was nearby, but just sat there with her arm around her dog, staring at this something from another realm. She was only awoken when she looked up and she saw that the sky was starting to darken, and she knew it was the time between times. And whatever she thought about the fairies, whatever she thought about this wonder, she knew that now was not the time to be caught near the fairy house. But she promised to return the next day, bringing her friends and more camera equipment. As she walked, she turned one last time and looked at the house. A dwelling in the middle of the forest for one of the Tylwyth Teg. And she turned and walked away. The next day she returned with 2 friends, parking in the same spot, her dog pulling on the lead as if it wanted to go somewhere and wanted to go there quick. She found the spot where she had burst through the bushes into that small clearing. But the house was gone. Of it there was no sign. Her friends seemed to look at her blankly as if she had taken them somewhere, like some sort of joke. But she swore it was there. She showed them the photographs on the phone, and they were as clear as day. But the house had gone. The smoke was no more. The music had stopped playing on the breeze. And Judy stood there, realizing that she had been granted a sight into another world for just a few moments. She and her friends went away, and she has returned many, many times to that spot, always breaking through the same undergrowth. But she has never heard the music, nor never seen the fairy house since. But she says that that was a life-changing moment. A moment when she realized that magic still existed. The things beyond the veil were within touching distance, if we were willing to find them. And I think, my friends, we all have a lot to learn from that tale. This did not happen hundreds of years ago, far away in another country, in another place. This happened to someone just like you and I, walking a forest path that they walk nearly every day, only moments from their home. There is wonder there, my friends, if you want to find it. Sometimes it's best to turn the television off. Sometimes it's best just to put down that iPad. Sometimes it's best to just follow your heart wherever it wants to take you, and believe in what you see, for belief means everything. Let your imagination come alive whenever it wants to, and find that happiness. If you feel a story, write it down. Write poetry. Draw those little wonders that you see. And know there is magic just around the corner. Thank you so much for joining me this week for the Festival of Fable. It has been my pleasure to bring to you these stories. Next week I will, of course, go back to the weekly podcasts, and I have some special things coming up just for you. But in the meantime, why not visit my website at welshstoryteller.com and let me know what you thought of this. Was it something you enjoyed? And of course, if you can, please donate to Flint House, the police rehabilitation centre in Goring, a place that has given me so much. And now I can give something back because of what we do at the fire pit of the heart of the forest at the time between times. The time it's neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. Diolch yn fawr, ffrindiau. Thank you ever so much for joining me here. Take care, and I will see you soon. Nos da.